to celebrate Atsu. You can see some of the high-rank members arriving right in Ada. Heavy security suggesting that quite a number of important people should be making it to the funeral grounds there in Ada.
Well, all right. I think it should also be confirmed that on Sunday, Atsu worshipped with the Lighthouse Chapel International, so they expected to also hold a Thanksgiving service for Christian Atsu. Depending on where you worship, they expected to have Atsu's family visit the church and then have a final Thanksgiving service, just like it's normally done locally. So that is it. And just as you see people gathered there, it wasn't different from what we saw at the State House, where people who did not have accreditation and couldn't gain access into the forecourt of the State House, they were outside the boundaries of the State House, and they were waiting to at least have that opportunity to enter and then have a feel of what was actually going on. And I was marveled. A lot of people were marveled that this was the case, and it clearly gives us that thought that, come on, this is a man who's too much loved by many. And as you can see, even in his hometown, we've seen players die, being buried, but this is different. This is more like a celebration of life more than mourning, and I think this is the most befitting thing. Wherever he is, Atsu would be glad seeing this, and we just hope that just as it went smoothly at the forecourt of the State House, there should also be a brief ceremony. That would be very cool.
So my colleague Billy Shan is standing by in Ada to provide us the latest report on what to expect and what the itinerary should be ahead of the ceremony.
They're going to wait till tomorrow, and they said latest by 12 p.m. that is when the body will be laid to rest. Of course, remember Christian Atsu, during his short-lived career, started at Cheetah FC and then moved on to FC Porto, where he had a fantastic career despite going on loan for some period, moving to Chelsea and having some spells in Vitesse and other clubs like Newcastle, like Everton, and other clubs as well. His last club was in fact Hatayspor in Turkey, where he managed to score a goal right before the earthquake happened in Turkey. The next day he was under the rubble for several days and didn't survive. And now after some time of waiting, his body has finally been brought to where he can call home, where he can call his hometown, to be rested here at a special place that has been lined up for him by the people here in Ada. How about you?
Well, thank you very much, Bill Ishan. And it does look like the event would be kicking off soon. We're seeing, the people of Ada lining up for some.
Well, I think
traditional.
Right, this was what was missing from the forecourt of the State House, where we did not witness all these. And I think, as custom demands for the people of Ada, Atsu should be properly laid to rest by performing these cultural practices, and just as he's been taken back to Ada, they need to follow the right procedure in making sure that one of their own is laid to a very perfect rest. The reason why you are saying this, we saw a couple of it at the forecourt of the State House, but I'm not sure it was as intensive as they would want it to be. And let's not forget that Atsu's body was prepared by the military, and it was brought straight to the forecourt of the State House. So definitely there should be some traditional measures that should be followed before finally the body has the right interment being done. So as you can see, clad in their traditional outfits with children leading and then the elderly also along the lines. Yes, he should have that being done, and I think it is only right that as a son of the land, he's also given that treat to welcome him home to his ancestors as he threads that path after a very excellent or life worth emulating which he lived on earth, both as a footballer and then as a philanthropist. He really gave a lot, and just as we've seen, I think he's been smooth so far. He's been orderly, not any rift or any mayhem or any chaos, just as we had from the State House. And I think it's really impressive. You know, back then at the forecourt of the State House, when his wife started with a tribute, he couldn't even read 2 lines, not even 2 sentences, and then she just had
must
to,
have rehearsed it time and time again.
to burst into tears, and then it was taken over by the aide who was with her and the children. So it's been tough. I don't know if she was part of the convoy to Adan, but if she should do, I think they should really restrain her. There were a couple of people that myself and other people had to help from getting too disheartened by what the witness and the feeling at the forecourt of the State House. And we just hope that this would go as smoothly as expected and possible. So we are seeing more vehicles getting closer to that is the ceremony at Adan that will be held. More vehicles getting in there, and hopefully once the required people get in there, Atsu would have the custom rites being performed, and then his body finally will receive the interment that it is expected to have. Hopefully it doesn't go too late into the night, but still at the forecourt of the State House, yes, some people are still in there, just as it's normally called the family gathering after the sermon it's done. That is what is currently. Believe in life after death. Atsu definitely continues to be a blessing unto them.
Well, some nice words there from Kelvin. We do hope that he continues to be a blessing for the people of Ada who are getting ready to officially take Christian Atsu home. Cars are trooping in into the ceremony grounds where there would be a mini ceremony of a sort where there will be the various traditional rites and paying of last respect before the body is officially taken for burial. It's a very difficult time for people close to Christian, and even people from afar, sympathizers all across the world, as we gain closure on what has been a very difficult 6 weeks to process, right from the hour that the earthquake was announced up until the time where his club officials confirmed that he was found alive and later retracted the information. Then hours later it was announced Christian had lost his life after his family had flown into Turkey ceremony, and a couple of weeks later to the actual funeral where we are currently waiting for the burial. It's been topsy-turvy. It's been difficult to process, and if we are to look at a scale measuring the heartbeat or how people have felt in the past 6 weeks, you're probably going to see an undulating pattern because there has been moments where people try to forget, try to move on, and then something reminds you again of how tragic this incident is. No one saw it coming from anywhere. But all we do know now is that Christian Atsu is no more. And the best that his people can do for him is to ensure that he rests well. And that's what the people of Adan will try to do in the next few minutes as they engage in the final rites for the late Christian Atsu. Well, cars are still coming in from Accra. It's a long journey. I think it's about almost 2 hours or so.
Yeah.
Depending on the traffic situation.
Yeah, I'm sure thanks to the convoy or the police escorts, they've been able to get there a bit early. Yeah, we know that there's traffic along that stretch, and especially on a day like this where the people would maybe stop their personal activities and then stay behind to make sure that they welcome Atsu. But I'm sure thanks to it there, and I can see more people getting into the funeral grounds, the burial grounds, to make sure that they welcome the body. I'm sure it's based on the announcement of the cars and then the body that has already arrived, and hopefully the rest of the convoy with the high designated dignitaries will get there as early as possible.
Well, Bill is speaking to some people on the grounds. Let's quickly switch over and get access to that.
As the body has arrived, the family will receive him. Then after that, every plan that the nation is aware of, we put that plan in action. The family will have to perform 1 or 2 customs before whatever will follow up here.
So when exactly would his body be buried, for confirmation's sake?
For that one, I can't give now unless the body arrives for the elders of the community to decide whether the burial will be done either today or tomorrow. I can't give any authentic answer for now.
Okay, so I would like to find out. I mean, what plan does the community have to do to honor Atsu, to try and bring something in remembrance of Atsu?
Okay, the truth of the matter is that our brother has an agenda for this community. We are very less endowed community, and he has a very good intention. I learned he came here around the last time he came here. He came to see the chiefs and elders for a land, and they gave him a land, and he said no, the land is too small. So he asked for about 100 acres of a land to be given, and he wanted to build a city for the community, set up some employment ventures around to employ the young ones here so that they will get ends meet.
Yeah, you just mentioned that. Of course, I'm going to go to you. You just mentioned that. I mean, Atsu got 100 acres of land. I mean, apart from that, what exactly has he done?
I think Atsu has provided water, this pipe water. It's connected from Kase to this place, because when you look at all the area, there's no pipe here. But when he came, the first time Atsu got here, he said, no, my community have to get the water. So as we are speaking, Atsu we are having water, potable water in this village, which is in the town here. So we are all looking up to see our brother as he promised to come and build the city. That was our aim, that Atsu is coming back for us, but unfortunately we don't know.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's really sad. With him gone, I mean, we'll never know what could have happened with those 100 acres of land. But to both of you, I mean, personally, I mean, you are cousins, you are family members of Christian Atsu. I mean, how big of a blow has it been for you? I mean, during this particular period.
I would tell you that it is a very big blow to us, because he is a promising guy that we are all looking up to. You yourself, you can speak for yourself, looking at the community. So having someone rising to that echelon, at least it is something that we all hope that in the near future our brother will come around and come and do something for us, so that at least to lift the image of the. But it is the will of God, and maybe we know definitely God is having a plan for this community. I believe, I'm a Reverend minister, and I believe this will not be the end for our community, and I believe that.
Indeed, it will not. It will definitely not be the, the end of the community when it comes to Christian Atsu. I also have here a particular pastor who would also give us an update on Christian Atsu and the situation that has happened. I mean, Pastor, what exactly is your name, sir?
Kwame Boafo, Reverend Kwame Boafo.
Reverend Kwame Boafo, please, we want to find out. I mean, how close were you to Christian Atsu?
Oh, we're in the same church. He was our church member. When he comes, he visits us in church.
Right. And I mean, he used to visit the church a lot. What kind of contribution did he used to make to your church?
Well, he was part of the ushering department, and his favorite part was to come in Saturday evenings and clean the place. I mean, you see Atsu joining the other ushers, cleaning the whole place, and that was a remarkable thing he did.
It was indeed a very remarkable thing. He was indeed, committed to the kingdom's mission.
Yeah.
But we want to know. I mean, how big of a blow has it been for?
Well, when the earthquake struck, we are all praying that we'll get him alive. But God knows best. God has he has finished his work on earth, and God has called him home. So I think we are comforted, and it's not a hopeless situation.
And before I let you go, I mean, what has the church planned to do in remembrance of Atsu?
I mean, it's a state affair. The state has so many things that they want to do in remembrance of Atsu. But what we'll do is to pray for him, keeping our prayers. That's why the church has sent us to his hometown here to finish the burial service. So we are here on behalf of the church.
All right. Thank you very much. And of course, the church has come to show a support. Christian Atsu, during his younger days, used to be a staunch churchgoer. In fact, at some point, when he got his first money, that is 800 euros from Porto, he decided to contribute that full money to the church. And I also have with me another pastor. Sir, please.
I'm the part of the Divine Healing Church.
The Divine Healing Church.
Yeah. And the disease.
Yeah.
The disease.
Yeah.
He was born at Eastern region.
Yes.
At Ichiamaku, at Afan place.
Yes.
I'm the pastor who dedicated him and make outdoor for him. So everything is under me. So what we plan at, we make everything at Accra. To when we come here to bury the disease, but the family tell us tomorrow. The church people they are here, and they are the church people. But for me, it's like my son.
It's like your son.
Yeah.
I mean.
For the family.
How did you meet?
I met him like 1992.
Okay.
Yeah. I was the pastor who baptized him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. That's interesting. And since you baptized him, I mean, how constantly in contact have you been with him?
The disease, they are fishing. So after he goes for his brother came to go to Accra. So that's to Accra. So it has happened for luckily.
And so those were some footages from Ada as they prepare to receive the body of Christian Atsu. What has been your impression of the town so far? And we've seen the setup, we've seen the people. What has been your impression?
Well, I think I'm impressed, and it clearly tells that Atsu is a very good person, loved by the people of Ada. And just as you heard from the comment, nobody has had a negativity about him, and it clearly gives you an indication that he, just like he did in the city and he did elsewhere outside his own place of residence, he did that for the people of his hometown. It was confirmed that he actually asked for acres of land where he was going to have a development, and he's already given them potable drinking water for some parts of the community, and it clearly gives you an indication that yes, this is exactly what is going to go on there in the next couple of years. So at least with the little that he did, they've shown that yes, Christian, it's that person that they need to celebrate. And you can see it's not just too much of a moody atmosphere. They are celebrating a legend. They are celebrating someone who loved them. They are loving him back on a day where he's finally going to be laid to a peaceful rest. And I think it's just exactly what we all expected when the body was leaving Accra here, and it's going on right. And I think it's one thing that gives me joy and puts smiles on my face. Not just the people happy with what they are doing, but it's about how together they are, not separated, coming together as one voice, one community to make sure that a son of the land is healed.
And now we are waiting to move Christian Atsu's body into that resting place. Wait time cut.
Right now.
And just, one question that a lot of people have struggled to answer, especially from the interviews that we've seen and from our live footage, is what the plans are to continue celebrating Christian. What do you have in mind? How best do you think, the legacy of Christian Atsu can be carried on?
Well, I think the only thing that can keep his legacy running is his contribution to the orphanage. I think it should be kept running. That orphanage should be kept running, and that is going to be continued by Arms Around the Child. And they've confirmed that yes, it is something they are not going to stop. And where Atsu left off, they have documents that tells them or gives them knowledge of where he got to, what his plans were in the next 4 or 5 years, and they are going to make sure that that runs. For the Football Association, they say right after this weekend, when everything dies out, they would concentrate on what they need to do for Atsu after the Black Stars games against Angola, that double header, and then they will make sure that whatever plans, how best they can celebrate Christian Atsu would be great. And he even spoke, Henry Asantichum, the communications director for the Football Association, made mention of that. They could probably even build a stadium in his hometown, Ada, that is if they have the facility. But others were also proposing that why not a football academy? Why not something that would have his name in memory for a very longer period? So there are steps to continue with that. We spoke to that is the crime foundation that he used to help criminals get out of jail, and then for those who couldn't pay those meager sums to get out of their misery, he managed to do that very well for them, and hopefully that would also continue. And that is the only thing I think we can use to celebrate Christian Atsu after this befitting burial. Other than that, if we decide to do any other thing, I don't think it would be more memorable aside building an academy or maybe continuing his good works, that everyone will know that yes, this is the legacy Atsu left, and once every year or once every 2 years or once every 6 months, this is done to make sure that we remember Christian Atsu so well for the many good things that he's done. So it's sad, it's tough, but let's see what happens. The GFA themselves know that this is something that they need to do, and for the sports ministry, when we spoke to Evans Opoku-Bobie, he made mention that yes, there's something they have at the back of their minds. Even if it should be a fund that should be put aside to make sure that the less privileged who are more talented should be put in national academies. Probably it could be named after Christian Atsu for a project that is going to last for a very longer period.
Yeah.
Wakanye penye hablonge blon nyanga yoni hablo. No kone chiwabo nyesika jesi jeke blomine ete. Na ke olio no yamio. Na police me awon ke tawo pe. Chapi wonu wape wakanye be saminya. Nye hablo ne no ne eba semi wakanye be saminya. Lo nye hablo ne Atsu yomi ko ne akwanle kaba numelo we kenye hablo ne ambulance ne apo nya yomi
bela de kam
kola nye je blomi ha.
And so it looks like the military and the security personnel are marching in. I cannot confirm whether it's the body they are holding, but they look like they are marching into the center of the court.
Yeah, they're almost there, and I think they'll need to pave the way. So that march would pave that way for, let's say, the pallbearers to just bring the body to where it's supposed to be laid. So that's currently what is ongoing, and that is where the body or the coffin will be put in the center of the burial grounds, where the final rites would be expected to be completed before everything is sorted. So it's been a bit tough for Christian Atsu's family and everyone attached to this, involved in this, but just as it's being told, hopefully by close of day everything would be sorted, and then Christian Atsu would finally be laid to rest perfectly by the people of Adan. It's one thing that really surprised many at the venue, that whenever there was a song, whenever there was a word, a tribute, people just got into the brochures and tears started. And I got close to one woman and I asked her, did she ever hear of Atsu in the Black Star? And it was like, no, but if someone does these good deeds for a very longer period, why shouldn't he be worth celebrating? So it's not just about people who know him, it's about people who adore humanity and who love the humanitarian works that he did. And I think that is more celebrating, and hope that that continues to stay forever. Samuel Inkum was speaking about their time in the Black Stars. You know, Inkum got into the Black Stars earlier than Atsu did. After the 2009 World Cup triumph, they walked into the Black Stars with Andre Ayew, Mohamed Rabiu, Jonathan Mensah. Like he said, Atsu got into the Black Stars and he told them, I am here to stay. And just as it happened, he stayed until he himself decided to excuse his time from the national team. And speaking to Baxo Knodo, who was just speaking so well about Christian Atsu and how an excellent talent he was. Unfortunately, ravaged by a number of injuries that prevented him from shining so well in England, and then had to move back to the Gulf during his 30th and 31st birthdays. He had to move away from top flight football in Europe. So it's tough in here, and then we just hope that a lot of the professional footballers who were present, current and past, we just know that this is a life that was lived by one of our own, and we can also achieve that by getting it done. And you're speaking about what Atsu can be fondly remembered for. I think the PFVG have it upon themselves to make sure that all players have a very good career, and even a very good life after their playing career. And that is what many of them have been able to do. So why not to do that now and at least get the players into the right times and the right moments? Maybe Atsu may have left now, but I'm sure the kind of person that he is, he has a very good plan that is going to take care of his family, and at least he's left a legacy that can live and remain in our minds forever. What are the others also living in? That was the concern of the secretary now, Yusuf Alassane Chipsa, who was making concerns that yes, Atsu has paid his dues to the nation, and I think the rest of the other footballers could also do same and then emulate his good deeds.
Well, they definitely can emulate his good deeds. As one thing that, you know, it's difficult to really measure because some people, for instance, there's been talks about if Atsu didn't die, people wouldn't have probably known of all these good things that he's doing. So we can work at that premise that maybe some of the players now are doing stuff that we don't know.
Exactly, and I remember, you know, during my interview with him, he spoke about his charity works. But when we were putting the final work together, he was like, "No, I don't want you to add this. I just want to be on the low. I just want to do
This interview with
yes. I just want to have my things on the low. I don't want it to come out. I am doing it." And the Christian that he is, he goes strictly by the books of the Bible, that whatever he's doing, he doesn't know, he doesn't have to disclose it to the public. And the reason why he never wanted these works to come out, and that's exactly what happened with Christian Atsu for a very lengthy period. And I think it's coming out all because he's died, and many think that all these works shouldn't go down the drain, and he needs to be celebrated for the good things that he's done. So I think we can pardon some of the players. Maybe just like you're saying, a lot of them are doing something creditable, but at least it wasn't too extremely silent that Atsu wasn't known for some of the things that he was doing, especially his foundation or his amnesty to the criminals or the jail people who had jail sentences that they could have easily walked out of if they had someone to help them get an attorney or pay those meager sums for them, which Christian Atsu was doing due diligence to and got them, many of them, out of it. So let's see what happens in the next couple of years. But I think this is the time. If anybody is doing something behind the scenes and it's in correlation with what Atsu was doing, at least this is the time they should come on board and at least merge it so that we have a very bigger organization or legacy that we can celebrate and live forever.
Let's talk about Atsu's career, because you mentioned that he had quite a number of injuries. Probably that ended up decimating his career a bit in terms of his playing legacy. Overall, do you think you can look back and say maybe some decisions he made could have been better in terms of the clubs that he chose for, or in terms of the peak that he had when he burst onto the scenes? Do you think this is the best possible career he could have made for himself?
Well, I think he could have been more. Aside the because of the injuries, he struggled, especially when he made that giant move to Chelsea. Many were expecting that Atsu was going to be a hit, and because of his skill set, very witty on the ball, very crafty with his pace. Very few players can still handle the ball well with skill when they have that amount of pace. But Atsu was doing that effortlessly. And we saw that during the 2015 African Nations Cup when he came glorious in that Black Stars team that got to the finals but failed to win it. I think during his injuries, you know, Chelsea is a club that, under Roman Abramovich, even coaches did not have time to do I say half trial performances. So it was the same with Christian Atsu. And unfortunately for him, with the many Chelsea players and the ability of Chelsea to go into the market and bring replacement when they felt that money they splashed on a bigger one wasn't performing, it was easy. So it made him struggle a bit. And we know the Premier League, if you are not really strong enough, you come into the first 2 games, 3 games, the first season, and you struggle. It is either you become a liability and you need to go and come back again. Kevin De Bruyne played in the Premier League, same team, Chelsea. He struggled. He had to go and come back. Mohamed Salah struggled. He went, came back, and it was glorious. Maybe Christian Atsu needed that time. But unfortunately, even for the clubs that he went to, he struggled to play, all because of these recurrent injuries. And remember the 2015 AFCON, he wouldn't have been there, but Avram Grant was insistent, and he even provided the medical team that made sure Atsu was fit for the tournament. And I think it's so sad for him. This is a guy, we hail Alan St. Maxima in the Newcastle team from last season up till now because he's one hell of a player that dribbles and takes defenders by storm anytime he has the ball. Atsu was benching Alan St. Maxima during his time, a younger Alan St. Maxima back in there at Newcastle. So it clearly tells you the kind of player that Christian Atsu was. One thing I think he really did not help himself was excusing his own self from the national team. I think it did him a little bit of harm, and if he had stayed with the Black Stars for the 2019 and then even this World Cup, it could have done him a great lot of good. Let's not forget, even at Hatayspor, he wasn't happy. And it was made clear by the former GFA communications director, Sani Dara, that Atsu spoke to him that he wanted a move away. And it was part of the reason that on that Sunday when he scored the goal, he had a trip to England just to come discuss potential moves back